Your salespeople should never be the people entering leads into your CRM. In this video, we'll cover why that's an inherent truth and how you can get much better performance out of your salespeople and the incoming leads. This video builds on two previous videos: how salespeople should never be the people answering the phone in the first place, and how the top salespeople have more room to improve and do more sales than other of the salespeople in your team. So if you haven't watched those already, I strongly recommend you watch those and get some context on this video. This video is going to build on those two concepts. First of all, I guess we've got to talk about the need to have a CRM in the first place. It still surprises me today. I talk to a lot of business owners in small businesses, and a lot of them don't even have a CRM. I would argue they're not a real business if they don't enter their leads methodically into a CRM. Every single incoming lead should be entered into some software that tracks those leads, tracks how many leads they're getting. If I say to them, well, how many leads did you get this month, last month, the previous month, this time last year? It amazes me how many people can't give me that information. It's just anecdotal. They're not actually keeping track. They're not measuring it. They're not analyzing it. You don't have a real business if you're not analyzing this. This will make a huge difference to how effective your sales organization is and your ability to grow a business. Whatever you do, employ software that's going to track your leads so you can analyze and measure how many leads you're getting each month, how many of those are getting converted, and which salespeople are better at converting leads than others. And I guarantee you, if you've got more than one salesperson, there's going to be a difference between the two salespeople, which one or which ones are better at converting leads. And you really need to know that. So let's assume you've got a CRM and you're doing these things. What a lot of business owners that aren't salespeople themselves often don't really understand about salespeople is that, left to their own devices, salespeople will cherry pick. They'll pick the best leads and spend time on those, and they'll completely ignore the rest. I've seen salespeople do this lots of times. They'll take the best ones that they think are the best, and that can just mean the ones that are just easy, low-hanging fruit, easy to convert, the least amount of work. The amount of times I've seen a business owner invest a lot of money in generating leads, give the salespeople a lot more leads, only to discover when we dig in and look at the analytics that they're just being lazy and they're not working the difficult leads, the leads that will take a bit more work. They'll just cherry pick the best ones and skim them off. A large proportion of that investment is just being completely wasted. Don't underestimate how many salespeople will cherry pick if they have enough leads to work with. You're just wasting your money if you're not managing the leads very carefully to make sure each salesperson is hungry for leads and they're really working hard to convert all those leads. If you ask them, of course they won't admit it. It's funny how often I've worked with a business owner and I've had them immediately react to this and say, oh, my salespeople wouldn't do that. They work all the leads. And then when I get in and look at the analytics, The psychology of salespeople is really funny. They'll hog the leads. What does that mean? They get incoming leads. They get more leads than they can cope with. And they'll drop the ball on some of them simply because they don't have enough time. But at no point will it occur to them to actually give that lead to another salespeople who isn't getting enough leads. Because if they give another salesperson their lead, that person might convert that lead and then make them look bad. Salespeople want to look good. And if they can grab a lead and stop another salesperson from having that lead, and if they think they can get away with it and you won't notice, trust me, they'll do it every time. They'll hog leads, not get round to following up on them because they're just too busy. Doesn't matter that could have brought more business in to the company. Their goal is to look like the best salesperson, to look better than other salespeople. Salespeople are very competitive. Don't underestimate the degree to which salespeople will hog leads. Here's something that's a little bit counterintuitive. Your top salespeople are more likely to do this than your lower performing salespeople. The lower performing salespeople are more likely to give up their leads to another salesperson if they can't keep up with them. But your top salespeople are more likely to not want to allow anybody else in the sales organization to compete with them. One of the other problems you get if the salespeople are the people entering the leads. So typical organization, bunch of salespeople around, somebody answers the phone, they're supposed to enter the details of that lead into the CRM. However, if they get that lead and they don't think they're going to be able to convert it, they're not in a rush to put that into the CRM. Because think about it, a salesperson is out to make themselves look good. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's the nature of salespeople. But if they get a lead and they're not really sure they're going to be able to convert it, and they put it in the CRM, and the sales manager or the business owner is looking at the conversion rate, then it's just going to make them look bad because they didn't convert that lead. So they've got a tendency to put leads in there if they think they're going to have an easy time converting it, and hold back on other leads where they're not really sure. So they minimize the number of leads they put into the CRM until and when such time as they're confident they're going to be able to convert it. So their conversion rate on leads appears to be higher than it is because they're not actually even entering all the leads into the CRM in the first place. So think about it. If the salespeople are answering the phone and they're entering the leads into the CRM, not all the leads are getting entered into the CRM. And the bigger organization you've got, the more likely that is to be true. You're not objectively tracking all the leads. Another consistent tendency I've seen with salespeople across all organizations, everywhere I go it's the same. If a salesperson's conversion rate is low, they'll always blame the quality of the leads. They won't say, yeah, I really struggle to convert leads. Bill over here, he's good at converting leads and I just don't seem to be very good at converting them. They'll say, well, the leads I'm getting are crap. They'll always do that. If the salespeople are busy with a customer, they don't want to have to answer the phone because they're busy with the customer and they're focused on the task in hand and the lead they think they convert or they're getting close to convert. Stopping and taking on another lead, more work, is not something they're typically going to do on average. So again, if your salespeople are the people answering the phone, you're not seeing all the leads. Now, on top of all that, salespeople are notoriously bad at consistently entering the CRM, purely for admin reasons. Most salespeople are just crap at admin, and they're just not great at making sure they do a good job of consistently entering the leads in the first place. Now, a lot of sales managers will combat this by nagging them and getting on their case. You've got to enter the leads into the CRM. And you just get into this cycle, this continuous cycle, where the sales manager is just getting on their case. You've got to make sure that you enter the leads. You've got to make sure that you update the leads when you make progress on it. And it just never happens consistently. Some salespeople will be a bit better at it, but none of them do it well or consistently. I've never met a salesperson that is methodical about entering the leads and updating the leads as they go. And that's just the way salespeople are. In most cases, there's always exceptions. There's always the distribution curve, but the majority of salespeople, these are inherent truths. If you've got a student taking an exam, you never ask that student to grade their own exam. In the same way, you don't want the salespeople entering the leads because they're concerned about how they look. If they enter all the leads, they're inherently shooting themselves in the foot. This is the way their minds are going to work. If I answered the phone 10 times today and I had 10 leads and I didn't convert them, I'm going to look bad. So I want to be very careful about what leads I enter in there because I want to look good. And that's just the way salespeople are. You're not going to ask a student to grade their own exam. You should not be asking salespeople to entering leads in the first place. So what do you do? The answer is really simple. You have a different person or different people answering the phone and entering the leads into the CRM. They're paid differently. They're incentivized differently. They're paid based on the number of leads they enter into the CRM. An inherent truism is you get more of what you incentivize. If you incentivize people to enter leads into the CRM and that's their job and that's what they're paid on, then you're going to get more leads entered into the CRM. It's then the salespeople's job to turn those leads into sales. They're measured on not how many leads they've entered, but how well they convert the leads that they receive. Now, one objection I've heard to this is, well, I don't have a large sales organization like this. I only have 2 or 3 salespeople. Well, I've seen it work just as well with one person whose job it is to answer the phone and enter the leads, and then just a very small number of salespeople whose job it is then to convert the leads. And each organization is going to be different. Some sales organizations are going to be based on geography One person is going to be looking after one part of the US, another person a different part of the US, or one type of product or a different type of product, whatever. But you want to separate who enters the leads into the CRM and who actually has to turn those leads into sales. Even trying to get the salespeople then to update it. They have a call with the client, they agree to do a quote. Do they enter that information that they've done a quote into the CRM reliably? Salespeople wouldn't be salespeople if they were good at admin. If they like doing admin, they'd get a job doing admin. The reason they're salespeople is they hate doing admin. This is true for 99% of salespeople. So you can fight that battle and continuously nag them, or you can change the rules of the game. And the job of this person then becomes speaking to these salespeople on a regular basis, maybe a weekly call, and say, give me an update. What did you do with this lead? What did you do with this lead? And then this person does the updating. Great way to organize a sales organization. So regardless of whether you have a large sales organization or you have a small sales organization, separating the people that track the leads in the CRM, that answer the phone, that enter the leads into the CRM, from the people whose job it is then to take that lead and turn it into a sale, is a very smart move. Your sales will increase. As I've done this, I've seen increases of anywhere from 10% to 60% increase in sales just by separating the phone answerer and how they're incentivized from the salespeople, and their job is to close deals and they're paid on closing the deals. Now, another big advantage of managing your incoming leads in this way is once you put them into the CRM and you're sure all of the leads are getting in a CRM, you can see by month how many leads you're getting, and you can see whether your lead rate is increasing. You can see the difference between salespeople, and how you analyze them is critical. You might look at your salespeople from the point of view of who has the largest number of sales or the largest amount of revenue, and you'll get a perspective on who's the best salesperson based on who's sold the most. Oftentimes though, that's not the best salesperson. If instead you calculate their conversion rate, so take this one for example, sent here, got fewer leads than say Bill, but they actually converted more of them. So if you look at them from an ability to convert leads into sales, the top performer turns out to be Sent. If you look at it from the point of view of who just sold the most, then the top performer turns out to be Bill. So how you analyze what goes on in your CRM is critical to being able to build your sales organization. If this person is much better at converting leads, then you want to find out, well, what is it they're doing that's different that enables them to convert those leads? You might want to give them more leads. It enables you to do different things to manage your sales organization and the people and what their strengths and weaknesses are. Competition among salespeople is a big deal. You want to be publishing this. I don't know why, but a lot of sales managers are really reticent to do this. If you've got numbers like this where you're seeing how many different salespeople are getting, post it somewhere very visual. If everybody's in an office, stick it on the wall and update it every day so the salespeople can see how well they're doing compared to the other salespeople in the organization. And because salespeople are competitive, nobody wants to be the bottom. They'll push and they'll work harder simply because they don't want to be left behind. If this person is doing a better job of converting more leads, it will encourage the salespeople that aren't so good to figure out, well, what can they do? And you can have workshops and training for the salespeople where you can analyze what the top converter is doing different and then help the other salespeople to be more successful. So chart it, publish it. If you've got a diverse organization and people are in different locations, you can still post this in a highly visible way. And I strongly encourage you to update it every day and do prizes for who's the best, who's made the most progress, and so on. And you might find that there are biases in the organization where for some reason one salesperson is getting more leads than another salesperson. And that could be based on territory, it can be based on all kinds of reasons. Maybe you want to reorganize your territory. But if you're not measuring all these statistics, you can't do anything to optimize your organization to get more leads converted or know whether you even need more leads. I had a recent organization I looked at, and discovered that 30% of their leads are getting wasted. The client wasn't even getting called back. And it was just because they weren't measuring the leads in this way. One of the salespeople just wasn't doing a good job of making sure they were calling all of their clients. They had a few big leads and they were working those big leads, and the rest were just getting wasted. Whatever you do, have a CRM and analyze what's going on, and look at conversion rates, look at which salespeople generate the most gross profit. All of these things can be measured. The sales result should be put in the CRM as well. So which leads generate the biggest profit? Which leads are the highest revenue earners? What territory is doing better than another territory? What is the trend over time? Is the lead rate increasing? Is it increasing in different locations to other locations? Do you need to reorganize the sales team? If you're not analyzing all this, you're missing a major opportunity to optimize your organization. So, bottom line, your salespeople should never be the people entering the leads into your CRM. You want a separate individual or individuals to be doing that, feeding the salespeople. Don't try and make salespeople do something they're not inherently good at. Updating the CRM, doing admin. Have an admin person to do admin. Have a salesperson to close deals.